Hey guys, it's Ryan here, and today I wanted to rank the main total drama villains from worst to best. There's probably a lot of these videos on YouTube already, but I just kind of wanted to do my take on it. And I'm gonna try and make this objective, not really based off how much I actually like the character, but how good I think they are as a villain, right? Because there are some my ranking of the actual characters themselves is different from how they are as a villain. So, yeah, and sorry about the mic quality as well. Just bear with me on it because I have a really bad mic. Maybe I'll upgrade it if this channel ever goes off. So, yeah, there's 8 main villains. There's Heather, Courtney, kind of Justin from Action, right? There's kind of 2 villains there. Alejandro, Scott, Mal, and then Cocktail Island's kind of, iffy. There's Sugar and Scarlet, so I'll rank them too. So there's 8 villains that I'm going to rank. I'm not going to do the Redonkulous race characters either. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I can't really do that. But if I do rewatch it, maybe I'll update this sometime. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into it. So at the bottom of the list, I'm going to put Scarlet from Cocktail Island. I don't really know if she really counts as a villain because Cocktail Island kind of even lacks a main antagonist. But I'm gonna put Scarlet here anyway because I just think the whole thing goes down in that one episode. I think it's called Scarlet Fever. I just think it's kind of dumb, like how she just kind of randomly turns into a supervillain out of nowhere. It's super unrealistic and stupid. That wouldn't even really happen. These aren't teenagers you'd see in real life. There ain't gonna be supervillains blowing up islands and killing a bunch of teenagers. I don't know. It's just really dumb to me. And it just kind of happens out of the blue, like, oh, she's evil now, like a supervillain, and just for one episode to get eliminated. It's just super dumb and cartoony, and it just is one of the reasons why I think Cocktail Island is such a stupidly goofy, unrealistic season. I think Scarlet's probably the worst of the villains, if she even really counts. So next, I think this is number 7, right? I'm gonna rank Sugar here. Again, she kind of randomly just becomes a villain in the last few episodes because I think the writers realized they were lacking an antagonist. And a theme from all the total drama seasons is every main antagonist makes it to the final 4. Sugar's the only one that works for that, so because she places 3rd. And she's a bad villain. She doesn't really do much, but at least she's more of a realistic villain than Scarlet, where it's just kind of stupid. Sugar's not really a good character, but I think she makes sense as a villain for Cocktail Island. It would work, but she's not really written very well. She's kind of dumb, becomes kind of mean for the last couple episodes just because they needed a villain there, I guess. I don't know. She's one of my least favorite total drama characters because she's just really annoying. But I think she is slightly better than Scarlet, but not really by much. I think Cocktail Island by far has the worst villains. Okay, at number 6, I'm going to put Mal here. And Mal's a really unfortunate case because on paper, he's such a good concept. Like, it's really genius to have an evil personality for a guy with multiple personality disorder. I think that's such a good idea, but it's executed so poorly because Total Drama All Stars is so poorly written that it falls apart. And I think he hogs way too much screen time over Mike. Mike's barely there. His strategy is just really dumb, where he just breaks a bunch of people's stuff. I just think that's just kind of silly. I mean, there's some good stuff with him. I think there's definitely good moments with Mal. I think he's leagues above the Cocktail Island villains, but obviously he's pretty poorly written. Like, I think there's cool moments with Mal, like when he was talking with Alejandro in that one episode. I think it's the one where Alejandro gets out. That was cool. There's some good moments. Like, Mal has some good stuff, but I think for the most part, he's just kind of a really poorly written villain, and I hate how they ended off with the whole button press. It's so stupid. I mean, it's in a lot of cases, it could have been really good, but it just wasn't. Kind of like most of All Stars, it was just wasted potential. So yeah, he's gonna be at number 6. Number 5 is gonna be Justin for Total Drama Action. So I don't know if he really counts that much as an antagonist because the first half of Action kind of doesn't really have like a main antagonist because, of course, Courtney debuts later. But I think Justin, he doesn't really seem like an antagonist, but I think he kind of works sometimes. Like, when he comes back after doing pretty much nothing on the island, he becomes a much more interesting character, and he doesn't, he talks about being smarter and being more of a manipulator. He's kind of just like, he's not like some super great, well written villain, but I think his character is really likable and action. He does some villainous things, I guess. He's not exactly like a big protagonist in action. So I think he was pretty good for that first half of action. I think he's alright. He's definitely not a strong villain, but I think he's an entertaining character at the least. And he does a few villainous things while he's there, but I think he's a fun character overall. And I personally really like Justin, and I think action, he was really fun in that season. So yeah, I'm going to put him number 5. At number 4 is going to be Courtney from Total Drama Action. I think Courtney definitely isn't a great villain, but not really a bad villain. She's kind of in between. She works as a villain. She's an okay villain. I think that one of the weaker points of Total Drama Action is the fact that there isn't really a big villain from start to finish, because Courtney's just kind of thrown in halfway through the season. But I think she does kind of work as a villain. She definitely has a strategy, getting around with her lost suits or whatever, and suing the people at the show. I don't know. Like, she does kind of do some stuff that to get around the game, and she definitely is a pretty clear villain. I think she works pretty well. She's not really a great villain, but she's definitely good. I think the action villains are leagues better than All Stars and Cocktail Island. Even though they're not great, they're not bad either. They work. They're just okay. And Courtney's pretty okay for the last half of the season. I think she does work pretty decently as a villain. So yeah, I think Courtney would be at number 4. So once you get into the top 3 villains, it's pretty clear which 3 are the best. I think we can all kind of agree that these 3 villains are really the best villains in Total Drama. So yeah, let's get into that top 3. At number 3 is going to be, and this is really hard because I think all of them are kind of the same in terms of how good they are. I'm trying to be kind of subjective, or trying to be objective, but it is kind of subjective here. At number 3 is going to be Heather. And I love Heather as a villain, for Total Drama Island. It works very well. She's a very good villain, very good main antagonist. And I think she's a really fun character. She just works as a character that you love to hate, right? So when she gets eliminated, it's one of the most satisfying things ever. She works great as a villain. The only problem against the other 2 villains here is that Heather has a lot of plot armor. There's a lot of episodes where she totally should have gotten eliminated, but she didn't. Like, it just doesn't really make sense. There's a lot of plot armor, like where she just finds the immunity idol in one of the episodes in the merge. She just happens to be the person who finds it. Or like Lindsay's animation doesn't really make sense to me, how she got eliminated in that challenge. But there's a lot of stuff that Heather did that just kind of like happens, but it works. It works for the most part. Like, I think, that's the only real problem, because for the most part, she's a pretty fantastic villain, and she's really well written. If not in all of Total Drama, she's probably the most well written character. And I think here she works really well, and even though there is some heavy plot armor to keep her in, I think for the most part it worked fine. It doesn't really matter that much. But I think, yeah, she's a great villain, but I'm going to put her at number 3. So at number 2, this is probably where things are going to get a little controversial. I'm putting number 2 as Scott from Revenge of the Island. Now, personally, Scott is one of my favorite characters, so this is where subjectivity here is going to play a part. But I think Scott is a very underrated main antagonist from this season. I think he's a fantastic villain with the new cast. I just think he was so much fun to watch. He has a really good strategy with eliminating his own players within his team. I think that was a really, really smart strategy. And it worked really well for the most part, because he eliminates most of the people on the show. To be fair, he does eliminate a lot of people, but it's also balanced out with him, not having his plan work sometimes. It's a great balance between Scott's plan working and not working, so he's not just powering through everything, because realistically that's not how it would work, but his strategy for the most part works really well, and it gets him really far in the game because he eliminates most people. He's one of the smartest contestants on the show, and I think he was a really great character to watch throughout the season. I really love his personality and everything. I think he's a great character, but aside from my opinion, I think as a villain he did really good, and he didn't have plot armor or anything. He just kind of he made it through the game with his strategy, which was really good. I really enjoy that. So yeah, I'm putting Scott at number 2. So at number 1, I definitely think this is the best. Is Alejandro from Total Drama World Tour. I just think he is the ultimate total drama villain. He's the best manipulator on the show. I think he's probably the most powerful player the show's ever had because he just makes it to the top by being a really good player at the game. He was able to manipulate half the female contestants off of thinking that he had interest in them just because he had good looks. And then he had a lot of alliances with characters. He was just really good at playing the game. He was really good. And I think just in general, he's one of the most well-written characters on the show, too. I think, you have to give him credit for that, too, for being a really, really well-written character. He was just really good from start to finish. I think everything about a lot of World Tour is just how well-written of a villain Alejandro is. The ultimate manipulator and player at Total Drama. There's no plot armor. It's all strategy with Alejandro. And he just makes it to the top by being a really good player at the game. I think that's why Alejandro is the best Total Drama villain ever. And even though there's going to be future seasons, I highly doubt Alejandro will be topped because he's a really good villain. So yeah, that's my number 1. So yeah, that's my Total Drama villain ranking from worst to best. I definitely think Alejandro tops all of them, but really that top 3 is really debatable. I think Heather, Scott, and Alejandro really, any of them could be considered the best villains, but I think for now, in my opinion, Alejandro is the best one. So to do a quick recap from worst to best, I say Scarlett's the worst, then Sugar, Mal, Justin, Courtney, Heather, Scott, and Alejandro as the best. So, yeah, I might update this later when I rewatch Redonkulous Race, or maybe when the new seasons come out. When they do eventually, I can update this in the future. But yeah, stay tuned for more content. I'm gonna be trying to upload probably weekly on this channel. So yeah, thanks for watching.